Hey, everybody, how's it going? It's Steve and Jay back on the Dynasty Owner podcast. We've been away for a while. Jay was on vacation. I'm actually going on vacation for a couple of days, so I'm very excited. We're kind of recording this on like a Thursday in the afternoon, late morning, which is kind of weird because usually you're working at this time, Jay.
Yeah.
I mean, or sleeping, I should say sometimes. So, this is like the one window of time between the two of our vacations that we could do it. So I'm excited that we're doing this. And whenever we put this up, hopefully people will be excited to listen to it. So how was vacation though?
Oh, it was excellent. Nice family trip down in Myrtle Beach. A lot of sun, a lot of fun, a lot of shops. Good. It was a good time. Good food. I couldn't complain a bit.
Did you hit Top Golf?
No, we didn't. It was
Uh,
actually we went to, it was called Broadway at the beach. That was where Top Golf was at down there, and it happened to be booked up for the night, so we ended up not making it back to Broadway the rest of the time we were there. So didn't
okay.
get to go there, but there's one up here in the area we'll hit eventually.
Okay. How many rounds of mini golf did you play?
I think 3, something like that. It
Okay.
wasn't much. We did a lot of beach. We sat on the beach a lot, a lot of swimming. The
That's good.
kids, I couldn't get the kids out of the ocean or the pool.
Nothing. That sounds like a great vacation. Mine would have been that alternating with like mini golf a lot. So
Yeah, they had a lot of fun.
awesome. Well, that's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. So, if you want to see vacation photos, you can follow Jay. What's your Twitter? I saw some pictures on Twitter, right?
Yeah, yep, it's at J Pounds NFL.
Very good. You did post vacation pictures. I did like them, by the way. So,
Thank you.
it was a
Yeah,
few
they had
days ago.
the coolest thing down there. We stayed at a campgrounds for a couple nights, and they had a big golf cart parade. Man, there was probably, I bet you, every bit of 500-600 golf carts just driving around in a big parade, basically, and giving kids high fives. And they had golf carts you could rent and all that. So we rented one and joined one night, and then gave the high fives the next night. It was pretty cool.
Wow. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was interesting. I've never seen a golf cart parade before, but first time for
Mm,
everything.
yeah. Well, it's Myrtle Beach. Golf.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot of golf down there. They got to
yeah.
do something, right? I
Yep.
guess. So cool. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. All right. Well, I this is the Dynasty on a podcast. It's not a kid vacation podcast. We're actually going to talk about fantasy football and starting now. But in case you just tuned in, you heard this was about fantasy football. Hopefully, you didn't tune out. We are going to talk about Dynasty fantasy football, specifically Dynasty Owner, which is Dynasty fantasy football with real NFL salaries, a real salary cap, a firm salary cap. So you can't go over. And so you're paying what the NFL teams are paying the average salary for those players. So Patrick Mahomes makes $45 million in our game. Like Hunter Renfro for this year, for example, makes a little over about $709,000. Next year, he'll make more because of contract extension. But like you get Hunter Renfro, he's very cheap. You get Jonathan Taylor for his contract, which is under $2 million. If you want him, if you want like Derrick Henry, you got to pay him $12.5 million. So it's very interesting. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to start talking about it. So the first thing we were going to talk about is, it's kind of it's a dead season right now, Jay. Not a lot going on. I
Yep.
mean, I do the contract updates. I just did them, as I was telling Jay beforehand. The biggest name contract, and we're using biggest in the air quotes, was Tavon Austin. So that's the big name. Brett Hundley was the second big name out there, unless you're a big fan of Mason Skronik, who's a tight end for Houston. Unless you're a big Mason fan, that was another one. So not a lot of signings. I think the biggest one over the last month might have been Njoku when he signed his extension, because that, for our purposes, that kicks in this year because it takes over the franchise tag that he had. But for guys like Hunter Renfro, that contract doesn't start till next year, so you get a year with his current contract before next year. So I know there's at least one in one of my leagues, a good Hunter Renfro trade. Somebody got rid of him, but I bet there's kind of a bunch of them out there, and there'll be a bunch more this year. So, because if you're trying to make a run at a title, Hunter Renfro is a good guy to have this year.
Yeah, I actually didn't see what was the contract he signed.
Oh yeah, you're on vacation. 2 years, a little over 32 million and some change, like 32.3 million. So not a bad 16 million. terrible, not too expensive.
As long as he produces somewhat near the level he was last year. He doesn't have to replicate what he's doing, and I don't expect him to by any means with Waller getting healthy and Adams being there. But I do expect him to, he's going to be that reliable slot guy, and he's going to get you a lot of PPR points and things like that. So yeah, as long as he plays somewhat to the level he did last year, he'll he'll put out some type of value for you.
Well, and I think with Josh McDaniels as his head coach, I mean, look at what slot receivers have done to
Yep.
Josh McDaniel offenses the last few years with New England. I mean, I actually really like. I mean, I'd rather have him at 709,000, but $16 million isn't really a ton. You think about some other wide receivers who make more than that. I mean, you got Kenny Golladay and Christian Kirk making $18 million. I mean, I'll take Hunter Renfrow over those guys any day.
Yeah, and you'll get a solid year-long look at him in this new offense before you have to decide whether to pay him or not. So you have flexibility with him as well.
Very good point. Very good point. Yeah, and if your team doesn't do very well, you get a lot of injuries, you probably can trade him to somebody this year who wants to try to win and get yourself a nice haul of picks or players, young players.
Yeah.
So, and if you're in contention, hang on to him and ride it out, see what happens, and then decide next offseason, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wish I had it. I wish I had Renfrow in the league. I don't, unfortunately. But oh well. But we'll talk. I'll look that trade up. That was in one of my leagues. At least I know one of my leagues. We should probably see if there's other leagues that he's been traded. But I wouldn't, honestly, unless I knew I was going to stink this year, I wouldn't trade him.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I'm intrigued to see, like you said, look at Julian Edelman and players like that who have excelled with Josh McDaniels. They're paying Hunter Renfrow for a reason, and they're going to use him.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. So, speaking of trading, we have I'm in a league, and one of the people in the league stopped basically paying attention. So, it's a lot of some industry people that have been in it, and like Tim's in it, I'm in it. When one other person dropped out last year, we got Victor, our 2020 Chase for the Ring champion, to join. And then when the most recent person dropped out, Tim invited Jeff, Skull Vikings, last year's champ. So the two champs made a trade. Jeff, the team was terrible. I think the guy stopped paying attention about halfway through last year. So it was very bad. So Jeff pretty much, I'd have to look it up, but if he didn't overturn half of that team, he did it almost half of that team is turnover. So I've got this trade. We got the Skull Vikings and Barbie Kilgore. And so those are our last two champions, Chase for the Ring champions. And if you're not familiar, Chase for the Ring and Dynasty owner is the champion of champions. So all of our league champions, you match them up, and whoever has the most points of the league champions wins the Chase for the Ring and wins a Super Bowl style ring, a trip to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, like a limo ride trip, basically a trip to Ohio from wherever you're coming from and everything like that. And you get a ring and you get immortalized as think about it. There's thousands of people playing this, and you won your league and had the most points out of all the people who won their league. So it's pretty impressive. So, and we got the last two people to do that here trading. So obviously I don't know how many times this went through, but so you want me to since it'd be better if this is a live stream because we got the trade on the screen, but we'll try to go over it slowly. So we got Skull Vikings, and here's what they're getting: 6 players. The 6 players are KJ Osborne, Josh Palmer, Kyle Trask, Michael Carter, Demetric Felton, and Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, does anybody in that group make more than $1.5 million?
No, they're all definitely low salary guys. And I've noticed a trend with Jeff this offseason. He's picked up KJ Osborne a lot in trades. I've seen a lot of his trades on Twitter, and I've seen KJ Osborne involved in a lot of them.
Yeah, I think he's high on him this year. I think I actually like him. I actually like him too. I think I have him in one league, and I kind of agree because you think about it. If Thielen's like 32 now, 33, 32, and somebody's got to step into that role. Osborne did it last year. Jeff and they've got the new coach who was the the Rams offensive coordinator last year. So you got to think that hopefully their offense is better,
Yeah.
and he's cheap. He's under $1 million. I mean, I think Kyle Trask has the highest salary in this group, and it's probably like 1.3 million.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so he may have taken on $8 million in contracts here. Maybe. I can't add it up right now. I'm not going to waste people's time adding it, but I'm going to say about $8 million. So Jeff gets 6 players for $8 million and has to pay them $8 million. Barbie Kilgore receives Damian Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and a 2024 second-round pick. So, I mean, Jeff basically gave 2 good running backs to kind of get 6 dart throws.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I like KJ Osborne and Michael Carter a lot out of the group. Kenneth Gainwell's very intriguing, but yeah, most of them are dart throws. I would call Michael Carter and Osborne a little better than dart throws. I think they're pretty much guaranteed to produce some type of value this season, but the rest of them, yeah, they're definite dart throws. And they're not. I don't mind them. They're not dart throws I hate. So I think he did a decent job here, and I don't know what the team looks like or anything, but
well, you got a fifth of the team right there.
Oh, is that okay? No, that's your team behind it.
No. I'm saying you look at those 6 players. That's like a fourth or fifth of his roster right there. You got that amount. You got that much. No, we could look at it, but trust me, look at you. I have to go look at his roster. I couldn't name you a bunch of players because I think he turned half of it over, including with this deal. So this is an interesting one because I mean, obviously the 2 best players in this deal are going to Barbie Kilgore, but Jeff kind of got a few pieces, and all those guys that he got all have like a couple of years left. So, maybe one of them pans out. I mean, Damian Harris is a great player, but that $900,000, his contract is $900,000 ish, but it ends this year.
Yep.
So, we'll see.
I like Ramondre Stevenson too. Well, I'm not sold that Harris is going to be the lead guy in that backfield for the entire season this year.
It's possible. It's also possible that he's the lead guy this year, and then next year he's gone.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of the Patriots don't keep on running backs for a long time. James White and Kevin Falk are exceptions, but if you think about it, what those 2 guys are third down backs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those lead backs, Belichick like uses them, and then kind of gets rid of them.
Yeah, the only one I remember really sticking around for a few years was Corey Dillon.
Yeah, he stuck around for a couple, but like he may have stuck around for 4.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I can't. I'm a Patriots fan. I can't even remember, but I mean, Antoine Smith, Sony Michel. I mean, you name all these guys. I mean, there's not a lot of context. I mean, who was the guy who caught the passes in the Super Bowl? I can't even think of who's third down. JJ Redmond. JJ Redmond was there for a little while. He won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, James White, I mean, he's been there for a while, but he's a constant, but he's a third down back. He's not inside the tackles, 20 carries a game type of guy. Those guys, Belichick uses them for a couple of years and then sends them away. I mean, they also had
LeGarrette Blount.
Blunt. They had Curtis Martin for a while, but then he went to the Jets.
About him, yeah.
Yeah, but you think about him on the Jets because he went and did more. I think he played more for the Jets than he did for the Pats. But at the beginning, Patriot at the beginning, he followed Parcells.
That's right. I forgot about that. He finished in like the top 10 all time rushing, didn't he? Oh
yeah, he was great. I mean, he was great. I don't think he ever got hurt. Honestly, he may have never got hurt. He was so durable. Somehow he was durable. He wasn't big, but he was durable. But yeah, so. Anyway, so Damian Harris, he could be the starter, play all 17 games or a bunch of them, do really well, and then, next year he's your starting running back for the Houston Texans. And
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's not exactly a guarantee either anymore. It's everybody was so excited about it. And I was too. I'm not even gonna lie. The Brian Westbrook comparisons and everything when he came into the league that Andy Reid compared him to, and then he just never panned out. And now Ronald Jones is there. They used Jerick McKinnon a ton last year in the playoffs over Edwards-Helaire. I know he was banged up a little bit, but it just doesn't look promising for him. They don't seem to believe in him. So this is his make it or break it year in Kansas City, 100%.
Yeah, and they just re-signed McKinnon too.
Did they see? I didn't even see that yet.
Yeah, they re-signed him like 2 days ago. No deal, no numbers yet, but he's back. So yeah, so now exactly. Who knows? I mean, Edwards-Helaire could be the lead back. He could be Ronald Jones's backup.
Yeah.
With McKinnon taking all the third downs. Yeah, you're right. It's no guarantee here. So, well, interesting deal. I mean, you don't because of it's harder with the salaries, as you can imagine, to make a deal work with like a ton of guys, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they traded 8 players and had the salary work and the player work. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of moving pieces. You don't see this many players. You don't see this many players get traded in the NFL a lot.
No, not at all. Usually you see it. It's one player for some picks in the NFL.
Yeah, or it's a player in like a 5th round pick for like another player. I mean,
the Russell Wilson trade was the biggest one I think I can remember in quite a while as far as how many players were involved in it.
Yeah. Exactly. You don't see 6 player trade. You don't see 6 players going somewhere. I mean, you used to in baseball. I don't think you see these anymore, really. And honestly, in any professional sport. But so this is a big one. It was enjoyable. So let me see if I can pull down Jeff's team here, because all right, so that was on there. I gotta figure out how to do this. I think I know how to work computer. Oh yeah, I do. All right, so let me check out Jeff's team. Oh well, you know what we can do? We can show you. I can show you the league transaction of what he's done with this team. I mean,
okay.
Why is it saying no transactions? Okay. Well, that's not good. I might have to. I don't know why. I don't know why that's not working. Okay. All right. It's going away for some reason. So we might not be able to look at team. Here we go. Okay. So I took it over. Let's see when he took it over. Yeah. He took it over. I'm looking back. Okay. New ownership on the 9th. So Jeff's had this team for a week. Let me read he's made. I think it's on your. Are you seeing this on the screen too, Jay?
Yep.
I know the listeners can't, but at least you can see it. So you're not relying on me. He added Jameson Williams, Crowder, spent $1 million Dynasty dollars. Then he dropped.
I actually
Jordan Wilkins.
Go ahead. We'll talk about it after.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I like the Jameson Crowder pickup. I think people are kind of sleeping on him. He's been a reception machine in New York, and he's playing with Josh Allen, and Josh Allen's loved Cole Beasley over the last few years, and I don't see him coming back. I see Jameson Crowder kind of taking that role. It's either going to be him or Isaiah McKenzie. So he's cheap, very cheap salary. I love that stash for right now.
Oh no, I agree. I think Jeff sat on. I just think Jeff got the team and looked at the waiver wire and decided, okay, I'm going to take. Here's a bunch of guys who are available who I'm just going to go grab. Yeah. So Jordan Wilkins, which who cares? He added Gus Edwards. I'm not sure why Gus Edwards was available for a while, honestly. I'm in that league too, but I mean, my team has problems, but that's the one I'm rebuilding. And he dropped Tyrod Taylor. Okay. He added Gerald Everett, who's one of your favorites for this year.
Yeah, I do like it. Nice little sleeper pick for me at tight end.
Yeah. He dropped Tyler Lockett, which is media because he's $17 million. Yeah. So added Devontae Foreman. Added Hurst. That was a good move. Why did not have Hurst on that team?
I've added him in a couple of spots.
Yeah, I have
just the way Uzama looked.
I have him in like one.
The way Uzama looked at the end of the year last year with Burrow, Hayden Hurst just intrigues me in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and then he dropped Durham Smythe, which obviously, and he added J.D. McKissick and Geno Smith. He added James White. These aren't huge moves, but they're all depth moves. Let's face it. He basically took guys on the bench who weren't going to play very much at all and replaced them with guys who might play more. So he added Greg Zerline, but I think he dropped him the other day. He dropped Jordan Aiken. He dropped Kylan Granson. So, I mean, and then he made two more trades. Okay. Oh, interesting. He traded He traded away George Kittle and got Gesicki and 2 picks in the 2022, the second and third round. Because this league's draft, the rookie draft hasn't taken place in this league because of the inactive owner. So we kicked the can down the road a month to get an active team, so there wasn't,
Yeah, that's smart.
Oh, and he traded with, and then traded with Tim. If you've listened to us, if you know Tim at all, you'll be shocked at this trade. Shocked. Tim gets DJ Moore, and Skull Vikings get Rashad Penny, Brandon Cooks, and 2 third-round picks in future years.
Pretty even.
I think everybody's happy with that deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim gets DJ Moore, who he loves, and he gave up about the same salary, right? I mean,
yeah, that's got to be pretty close. Cooks is like 16.
Yeah.
Then
and
Penny
Penny's
like 5?
High 5 or 6. Yeah, that's a pretty even salary trade. So, yeah. Now Tim must have been dancing when he got that deal. Something tells me. Why do I feel like Tim texted? Why do I feel like this is what happened in some way, shape, or form? Tim texted or called or emailed Jeff and said, "Hey, you want to take over this team in this league?" And Jeff's like, "Sure." Let me, looked at it, whatever, and stuff like that. And then he saw that he had DJ Moore on the squad, and he said, "Hey, Tim, I'll take that team. By the way, how much? What would you give me for DJ Moore?"
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, if you know Tim, if you follow Dynasty, you know that's probably what happened. I mean, bully to you, Jeff, for doing that.
He's never hidden his love affair for DJ Moore.
No. Hey, And then Jeff Skull Vikings also dropped Jake. I don't know how that happened. I mean, I guess somebody picked him up at the end of the year, and Ricky Seals-Jones. And then he added Jerick McKinnon, but to do that, he had to drop Greg Zerline for either salary or a roster spot. So, okay. So, I mean, he added 1 in that deal. I mean, at least half of this team is brand new, at least.
Yeah, it's got to be.
A minimum. Yeah. But I've never taken over you do rebuilding a lot, Jay, and, we talk about this a lot, but I mean, this is a little bit more than rebuilding. This is kind of like refreshing completely because of, I don't want to say mismanagement, but just like no management, right?
Yeah, this is kind of going out and just getting the depth guys that you like is what I'm seeing here. He's got the guys that he's pretty set on for this year, and he really likes, and they were pretty much available in this league, and he just went and got rid of the ones he hated and got the ones he liked and trusts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'd have to look at Jeff's whole team, but I mean, he's probably going to be competing with me for the bonus would be my guess, but I mean, if I can bid for the bonus pick in this league, I mean, my team's still dreadful. But getting better though, because I do have Jacoby Brissett on it, so I might have a quarterback, and so, but we'll see. But anyways, but yeah, so let's see what he's got. I mean, he had a few good players on the team, but yeah, I mean, he's got his quarterback is Tom Brady, his backup is Geno Smith or Marcus Mariota. I mean, yeah, he didn't have a lot. He traded away most of the guys who could be a stud. He's got Najee Harris. Oh, he did post a message and said that you can have Najee in this league, but you're going to have to pay for him. So, which is what you do if you Najee, right? And you weren't going to compete.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll give you Najee, but I need a king's ransom for him.
Exactly. Yeah, I need to speed up my rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. So. Well, good. Well, I mean, good for Jeff. This league is kind of one of the more dormant ones, I'd say. Not a lot of, not a lot of trades, not a lot of draft picks moving around. So it's nice to have somebody more active and interested in doing it and everything like that. So, and that's a good part about Dynasty owners that, we have an orphan store. So if somebody in your league can't continue on for whatever reason, they just get rid of their team. You can sell your team if maybe you've bitten off more than you can chew and you can't, continue playing one league. You can sell them and make a little bit of money, and then, somebody else gets a team. And the good part about this is, Dynasty owner, we've never had a league fold, due to inactivity or anything like that. I mean, there might be one or two inactive people, but we find people to replace it. So, you don't have to worry. This is not one of those leagues where, like, you read about them on Twitter and stuff like that, where somebody starts up a league and then, like, after one season it's disbanded and there was a buy-in and all this stuff. It's just, not happening here. Not happening here. So speaking of things like that, did you get the email about your discount? Oh, maybe it's just me. No, I'm sure you got it.
I haven't checked it.
For June, yeah, exactly. I did actually. I got it like a half hour before we started this. $10 off any new team you start in June.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't beat that. So get out there and draft, guys. It's startup season.
I might have to find a startup to join, or at least see if should we try to pull together some people into something.
I have probably 6 people ready to go. With Dynasty Trade School, we've got a group of people ready to start a league. So if you want in, you're more than welcome.
Oh yeah, get me in that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not in the league with Rudy. I want to have him beat my ass in the league. Right?
Might as well. So yeah. But yeah, we'll be doing that. I know he said he's in like California or something, if I remember right, for the next couple of weeks, and then we're gonna draft after he gets back. I'll probably invite my dad into that one, and then I got a couple co-workers at my new job that are interested in trying out Dynasty owners, so we'll have a nice little mix of newbies and vets.
Cool. Yeah, why don't we do that? And then we'll set it up now so that we can get the $10 off in June.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have to draft. We can draft in like September. That's because you can join a league right now. Like, say you've got that email and you're like, why? But I don't want to draft now. You can join a league right now. There's leagues you can join, and then the draft date might be in August, or it might be in September or July. You don't have to draft, like, you don't buy the team and then you draft like 2 hours later. You can pick a league and pick a time. Yeah. So, I mean, unless you want to do like Jay and I are doing, like Jay's doing here, and like form a league, and then, they'll also work with you to, like, if you have a league that you want to bring over, or a bunch of people who want to do it, something, you have like a time, you can do that, set up the time, and then it'll just fill with other people. There'll be a couple people you don't know. If you have like 8 guys or 8 people you wanted to join a league with, we'll fill the other 4.
Yep. Yeah, we find all sorts of ways to get it done and try to keep you guys happy and playing fantasy football.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, do you want to do some trades? Did you hunt down some trades to talk about besides the Skull Vikings one? Oh, you know what? Why don't I show you? Why don't I do the why don't I find the trade? Not the trade. Yeah, the trade for Renfro that I was talking. My friend.
Yeah, I'm interested in that one.
Danny. Yeah, he's a good guy. Hunter Renfro, and when he got when he got the notice that, when he heard about the trade, he was like, okay, he's up for deals. So here, can you see the deal here on the screen? So this is the trade. We have our first champ, Eddie, New York Strongest. So they made a deal. Yorkshire Roses got TJ Hawkinson, Anthony McFarland from the Steelers, and a 2023 third-round pick. And New York Strongest got David Njoku. That's a big contract. Renfro, and a 2023 second-round pick. Wow. Interesting.
For me, a lot of this depends on Deshaun Watson. I really, really like David Njoku. Even as a Steelers fan, I really like him. but Deshaun Watson's got to be there for me to like him with his contract at that number. If Deshaun Watson isn't there, David Njoku's a bust at that number. T.J.
Well,
Hawkinson,
for this year.
yeah. T.J. Hawkinson is. I like him, but I don't. He just doesn't seems like he's going to be a solid top 8 tight end for his entire career, basically. But he's never going to break that top 3. I don't think so. He's just your solid average tight end that you can start every week and kind of forget about. So he's definitely not a bad player, but I think Njoku has the higher upside with Watson. And then you add Hunter Renfrow in. I don't even know which side I like on that one. I'd say I got to call that a wash. Just because of the amount of salary New York's taken on after this season.
Yeah, I would agree. But I would rather have Njoku and Renfrow because I think, I agree. The Watson situation is a huge bog and stalemate and things like that. But you got to think they're going to figure it out sometime soon and then move on. So it might, like you said, it might be that, Jacoby Brissett's the quarterback this year for Cleveland. And then, if Watson's kind of goes away, maybe he comes back next year, or maybe he goes away like Ray Rice did, so to speak, and doesn't play in the NFL anymore. That's possible. But if that happens, then, then Cleveland basically says, okay, guess we got to get our quarterback of the future in 2023 draft.
They don't have any picks. They traded their next. They traded 3 years, 3 first-round picks.
All right, we'll have. Can we have Chris edit that out?
It's just, and the stuff that's coming out on Watson lately with the detective and the New York Times, saying that she wasn't able to testify and she believes there was criminal charges that should have been filed. It just does not look good for Deshaun Watson and the whole situation for the Cleveland Browns. It just looks terrible. I would be trying to avoid that trade if I was them after all this stuff came out.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they ever did it. Honestly, I don't know why they ever did it. I can understand wanting to get a better quarterback than Baker, but to go after Watson and then guarantee all that money, why
didn't you just call Russell Wilson and be like, hey, we got this $230 million contract we'll give you. Come to Cleveland.
It's not even that. I mean, well, yeah, it's not even that. It's more that it's just like they didn't have to rip up his old contract.
No, not at all.
That was unnecessary.
I think that was the only way he was going to Cleveland, is if they did something like that. I think outside of that, he was going to go elsewhere.
True, because he did say Cleveland was off and then Cleveland was on. But
yeah, so I think that's what enticed him to go to Cleveland to begin with. But with these 4 new losses, they've added 4 more, and just things have gotten so much uglier since he's been in Cleveland. I'd be trying to avoid that deal with everything I have.
Agree. I completely agree. It's funny. I saw somebody on Twitter a while ago who was very excited because he's like, I've been getting Deshaun Watson in the 9th round of all these startups that, and I'm very excited about it. And so then I replied and I said, what round are you handcuffing him with Jacoby Brissett? And then he's like, well, I'm taking Tom Brady in the 10th in a lot of these, and stuff like that. It's like, so why are you bragging about taking a guy who's probably not going to play half the season for you in the 9th round?
Right.
I mean, if it's a redraft, okay, you're fine. If it's not, you have no quarterback in next year, basically, possibly. I mean, I was being sarcastic with the Jacoby Brissett handcuff thing. Not really, because that's what you kind of need to do in this situation.
Yeah, you almost have to. And the only the Darnold scenario or something going to Cleveland would be the only way Brissett's not the handcuff there, and that's kind of a far-fetched. That's kind of my little bold prediction. It's not anything that's anywhere near guaranteed to happen. But so you have to pick up Brissett if you have Deshaun Watson. And you want to compete. Outside of, unless you're rebuilding and just holding them, that's the only way you don't pick up Brissett.
Yeah. I mean, I have Brissett. I picked up Brissett in I think 2 leagues. I have him just purely when he signed with Cleveland. I'm like, he could be the starter the first 6 weeks.
Yeah,
This was
if not the
before
whole
all those
year.
allegations. but before all those allegations, all this stuff when he just signed, it was when Watson
Oh
just
yeah,
signed,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then I was like, well, he's going to get suspended for something.
yeah.
You don't make his contract $1 million for this year if you don't think he's going to get suspended, right?
Yeah, I
There's
agree.
no other reason for doing that other than to mitigate his financial losses. So you knew that they thought he was going to get suspended. So basically, I was banking on Jacoby Brissett being my bench quarterback in that one league I have him in for the first 6 weeks, and then if Watson came back, then I'd kind of figure it out from there. But at least I've got 6 weeks of a bench because my starter in that league is Mahomes. So all I'm looking for is Jacoby to, kind of sub in for a couple weeks. And then, at that point, 6 weeks in, 3 or 4 guys who nobody thought were going to be playing could be playing at that point.
Yeah.
So all bets are, kind of all bets are off at that point. It's not a great position to be in. Trust me, I'm not like ecstatic about it, but I thought it was a smart move. I thought it was a smart move because, and Brissett's $4.6 million, which is ridiculously affordable for a quarterback in Dynasty under, especially for somebody who's not a rookie and is basically, I figured it was going to play 6. I had Brissett for 6 to 8 games minimum playing this year.
That's an easy number. Yeah, I think definitely bet the over on that now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. But back when I did the move was like when Watson signed. I mean, that was not a bad. It was not a bad guess. I feel like I played that properly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Unlike the other league that I had Deshaun Watson in, which I kept him all last year. $39 million clogging up my salary cap. Didn't get a point out of him, and I held him, and then finally when he got traded to Cleveland and signed that contract, I'm like, that I just can't do this. That's just too much money, and I cut him for free, but I wasted all last year.
Right.
I could have had anybody else for $39 million. I could have grabbed Kirk Cousins and played him and done better.
and other players as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's I could have had. I mean, I had decent quarterbacks, but I mean, I could have used another quarterback in that league. I didn't. I wasn't exactly burning down the league with great quarterback play. So, but I was thinking that if the situation ends and he gets traded, then maybe the $39 million would be used. But I think when he got the 5-year $46 million, I'm like, I gotta cut this. I can't. I'm cutting bait on this one. So actually, let's see what his ownership be around the 50s. I've not done a second of you want to guess?
I'm gonna say like
his ownership
42. Yeah, I'm gonna go about 40.
Okay. Well, I'll go.
That's
I'll go a
probably
little
too low.
lower because I'll go 35, just because I think. So I don't know. I gotta figure out how to. I don't know if he has him in this league. I'm trying to remember. I'll have to agent auction. But anyways, yeah. So okay, because I've done no research on this. I have no idea what it is. Okay, 45.3. Wow.
He's higher. He has a higher roster percentage than Kirk Cousins. That's insane.
Yeah.
Just with so much uncertainty and the amount he's making $16 million or $13 million more. You have to go with Kirk Cousins there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, but he's on the but in the league I looked him up in, he's on the auction, so he has him. You're right. If you're in another league and you Watson, and it's drop him and the supervision to him and move on.
Yeah, I'd much rather have a Ryan Tannehill at 29.5 over a suspended Deshaun Watson at 46.
Well, I mean, look at what you could do in this league. I mean, if you say you had him, they're all free agents in this league I'm looking at, but you could get Ryan Tannehill and Adam Thielen for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
not bad. I mean,
that's
for
crazy.
basically getting nothing. I mean, nobody's great share, but I mean, there's people who could like play and do something for you. I mean, yeah, I'm got rid of him. I'm glad I took the get to be ironic. I took the get out of jail free card with Deshaun and signed the free agent deal. I couldn't think of a better analogy, right? That's the best analogy, right? Even though it's kind of bad, right?
Oh yeah, it is.
Thank you. I'll be here all week. Tip your waiters and waitresses. So true. I mean, it's true. So yeah, I'm shocked. 45%. When you guessed 40, 42, I was like, well, that was my guess. So I'll just go a little lower because that's what I was going to say. I didn't want to say the same thing. I never thought to go higher than that. Never. I just thought I'd go lower and I'd be closer. Right.
Yeah. The fact that Ryan Tannehill's 26.5 and Watson's 45 is blowing my mind right now. I can't, honestly. I mean, I get it because of the loss of A.J. Brown and all that, and he struggled at the end of last year, but still the salary and savings alone you're going to make up in value.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. Unless these people are just, I mean, at a certain point, if you think about it, if say he was available and you picked him up, and you kind of bought into being on Cleveland and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah, it was a free pickup.
Yeah, but now it's sort of like, what do you kind of, I mean, even when I had him last year, he was in like 25-30% of leagues. I mean, there was a residual bunch of people who did the same thing as I did and kind of thought maybe he'd work his way out and you just kind of hang on to him for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what this 45% does. If this was a live stream, we could ask them if anybody on the live stream had him and what their thought process was, but
it's like now he's going to be looking at a year and a half, 2 years of no football. At the quarterback position at that, it's an interesting situation.
No,
to say the least.
I'm with you. I'm glad I got lucky. I'm glad I made the smart decision. Lucky I did, but the smarter decision would have been to get rid of him a year and a half ago. But at least I, if we're going from like keep holding them the whole time, at least I cut bait about halfway through when I had him out. I was smart enough to do that, but this is not the bash. We'll title this the bash Deshaun Watson portion of the podcast. So if Cleveland fans, if you want to skip over, we'll try to, maybe we'll put a little caveat at the beginning or something like, if you don't want to hear about Deshaun Watson, stop at this point, restart at that point, and you won't hear Jay and I badmouth Deshaun Watson, right?
It's so hard not to anymore. I mean, I stuck up for him for a little bit. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but with all this stuff coming out, it doesn't look good at all. I fully believe in the innocent until proven guilty, but holy cow, when there's smoke, there's fire. And just 26 of them. There's too much smoke for there not to be fire, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. It's crazy. I mean, you're right. I mean, I can't say any. You were right. I completely, everything you said was spot on. I can't say it better. Ditto.
And it sucks for the league. It makes difficult decisions here on Dynasty owner, but just the victims have it way worse. If I don't know the situation. I wasn't there, but it's bad. It's bad for the league. It's bad for fantasy. It's bad for everything. Yeah,
I mean you're right. It's bad all around. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel bad for I feel bad for Browns fans. I don't really feel bad for the Browns leadership because they're the ones who kind of made this decision.
Yeah.
They hastily made this decision and it's backfiring completely on them. But I feel bad for people who are Browns fans. Like I had friends, besides Tim, I have another friend here in DC who's a big Browns fan and stuff like that. I mean, I think they were kind of a little optimistic, like, hey, this is our guy. Maybe we have a chance now because we have one of those alpha quarterbacks that you need to win, the Super Bowl and get there and all that stuff. And now it's just kind of come crashing down on them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's my whole family's Browns fan, so I kind of watched it play out, and my my grandpa was just so excited at first, and then all this stuff starts coming out, and he actually, is kind of reading into it now, and he don't even want to turn the Browns on this year now. It's I like you said, I feel terrible for Browns fans because they had no say in it at all. They just and then they get their hopes up like, yes, we got a top 3 to 5 quarterback, and they really, if Deshaun Watson was playing, they really would have a realistic shot at a Super Bowl. Like they really, really would. So it's terrible for Browns fans. It's like a huge tease for them, pretty much.
You're right. It is. All right. You want to jump to another dumpster fire of a situation from Deshaun Watson? All right. That's a good transition. I was at one of the worst places in the world on Saturday night.
Yeah.
FedEx Field. FedEx Field in Landover.
Poop lines bursting.
No, none of that. Thank God. But I need to post this actually on Twitter. A couple of things. One was first of all, I wasn't there for football or anything. I was there for Monster Jam because my son likes Monster Jam. So we went. It's outdoors.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's fun. So we got tickets, but getting there, horrendous. Stadium, horrendous. We were in the club seats, okay, because it's Monster Jam. The tickets aren't that. It was like $40 to sit in the club seats.
Yeah.
I mean, and plus we got a good seat, so we got something without. We were in the first row, so we, he's 8.5. You can't see over people, so we didn't have to worry. So, but literally the seat that we were sitting in, the row that we were sitting in, the seat that one of the 5 people who was with us sat in, still said Redskins on it. Like the nameplate said Redskins. I took a picture of it. It's like, dude, come on. And then I swore I saw the team president running around, because it looked like him. I'm not sure it was him, but he looked like he was wearing official looking like gear and like an all access pass and stuff like that. So he's running around there, and I'm like, I felt like saying, hey, dude, you want to remove this placard that says Redskins on it, before the season, I mean. The state is awful. Getting in there was awful. Getting out of there was awful. And there were 20,000, 30,000 people there. Like it was half of a Redskins game. And it was miserable. It was a Commanders game, whatever they call themselves now. And it was horrendous. The stadium's horrendously awfully bad. I mean, like the escalator went up at the beginning of the show, but after the show was over, it was broken. It didn't go down. So we had to walk on the concourses. You had to walk down the escalator, the escalator. But at a certain point, they shut that down, and then you had to walk the concourse and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, they got to play in this dump for 5 more years?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a
dump. I might have to go down there and buy tickets for a game just to see how bad it is.
It's the only recent stadium that I've been in that's worse is the Oakland Alameda Coliseum. And that was built 30 years before it. And it shows that stadium's awful, as bad as you can get now for stadiums. And I've been in a lot of old stadiums, but at least they have some character, or they try. This is like if you had a house and you knew you were selling it in like 3 years and you just didn't fix any. You weren't going to fix anything unless you had to. Like if the pipes burst, you'd fix the pipes. But if a window got popped out or something like that, you just plastic it over and keep going. Right? Because you don't
Pretty
care.
Much, yeah. Yep.
I mean, okay, if poop falls on somebody, yeah, we'll fix that. But we're not removing the placard that says Redskins, because that would cost a couple bucks for some dude to walk the stadium and find all of them and remove them, so we're not going to spend that money. So I'm telling you, that place was a dump. And then the best part is, well, not the best part, but I was sitting in seats, and then I looked up, and I had a buddy who used to have Redskins season tickets back in the day when they were good and they had the waiting list and everything like that. The seat that I sat in 10 years ago with him is gone. They've taken out 20,000 seats. So the seat I remember sitting in 10 years ago is no longer a seat. It's like tarped over, or they removed the seats.
Gee whiz.
I mean, and it wasn't a terrible seat. It was the upper level, kind of near the top, but you were at the NFL game. I mean,
right. Yeah.
So yeah, just they've taken out 20,000 seats. I mean, used to fit 90,000 people in that place, and now it fits like 65, 67. I forget exactly, something like that. But that place is awful.
Yeah,
Awful.
Their owner needs to go.
Oh, I know. He's not going to I follow this because I'm in DC, but congressional hearings, they invited him and Goodell to a hearing, and he's declining to appear before Congress, which is kind of a big deal. Like, if you ever get called before Congress, go. You're really kind of supposed to. It's like being called into court. You don't just say, I'm sorry, I have a conference call scheduled that day, I can't make it. You kind of rearrange your schedule to go appear before Congress when summoned. Roger Goodell's doing it. I think he's doing it on Zoom, but he's still doing it. But Snyder's too busy or has a conflict or something like that. Unless his conflict's on the moon, he could appear by Zoom.
Gee whiz. Yeah, that he's something else. It's not going to surprise me when he's in prison in about 5 years. But.
No, don't. Yeah, exactly. Don't be surprised. The problem is if other NFL owners getting rid of him. I don't know.
I mean, if he was really running 2 books, I don't see the NFL owners not getting rid of him. True. When you start playing with a rich man's money, they're going to get angry.
You're right. Sexual harassment? No. He stole money from me? Oh, get rid of that guy.
Yep. Man, it's true, too.
Yeah, that's my... Yeah, when the billionaire steals from the other when one of the billionaires steals from the other 29 billionaires, they don't really like it.
Nope, not a bit. I don't care what else you do. You just don't take their money.
Exactly. 31. I got the number of teams wrong. My bad. All right, but I felt like that was a good segue from like Deshaun Watson to being a terrible situation to FedEx Field, which is also a terrible situation. So, all right. Do we have anything else? I know we didn't talk about trades or anything like that, but we're running up on 50 minutes, and I know you got kids watching a movie that may or may not be entertaining them, and I got to drop a kid off at camp in a little while too. So, anything else pressing, or we'll just talk about stuff next week?
Yeah, we can talk about it next week.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Jay. I'm glad you enjoyed your vacation. I'm going to go enjoy mine.
Yep, have fun.
Yes, if you listen to this and you happen to be in Winter Haven, Florida, I'll be at Legoland. So doubt anybody will actually see me or anything like that, but just throwing it out there. But I'm going to have fun. Then I'll be back and we'll be talking Dynasty Owner next. We'll talk Dynasty Owner next week. Jay and I are going to figure out a regular time because of his new work schedule. So, but we'll figure it out.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, man. So again, Dynasty Owner podcast. Dynasty Owner is www.dynastyowner.com. If you're a Dynasty Owner, make sure you check your email for that $10 off in June. I'm going to use it. Jay's going to use it. You should have got it if they've got your email. Or you can join Dynasty Owner. You can follow Dynasty Owner on Twitter. It's Dynasty_owner. I'm Steve Van Tassel, Steve VT at Steve VT33 on Twitter. Jay?
At JPoundsNFL.
All right. Great. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great week.